now. That's the wrong presentation. And then around 4:30, we're gonna kind of follow up on the brainstorm that we did earlier and kind of see if you have any more thoughts or things that you want to talk about. So I'll give it on to Elliot.
Hello, my name's Elliot Bentley. I work for the Wall Street Journal doing interactive graphics. But on the side, as I mentioned before, I work on OTranscribe, which is an open source web app for manual transcription of audio. I'm kind of intrigued as how many people here have heard of OTranscribe? And how many people have used OTranscribe? Okay, so there's a couple of people. So OTranscribe looks like this. It's browser-based software. It's designed to be as simple as possible. You choose an audio file or a video file. It goes into the corner there, and there's a progress bar. It's a combined audio player, media player with a text editor. That's about it, really. There's no kind of complicated technology going on here. I'm just using a couple of HTML5 APIs, and I have there are some cool little features. There's keyboard shortcuts for all the controls, which makes it very efficient. If you press Control and J, it adds an interactive timestamp that allows you to jump around your transcript. So I made this thing as a passion project when I was still working as a reporter before I was a professional developer. I made it for myself because I was transcribing audio and I wanted something better than Olsen tabbing between QuickTime and Word. What I didn't realize is, as well as journalists, there's a lot of people who need to transcribe audio. As all of you are probably aware, there's a lot more to be done there. So I started OTranscribe, I think I launched it in November 2013. So almost 4 years on, I now have over 90,000 monthly users, which is a little bit terrifying considering it's something that I kind of work on 1 or 2 days a month, if that. I mean, it's a mostly mature app that I'm kind of refactoring and adding little features around the side. Why I think it's popular is because it's a low-tech solution to a common problem, and it's on the best distribution platform on the world. You know, the web. It's great. You send someone a URL, and they immediately have access to OTranscribe. Now, OTranscribe is supposed to make people's lives easier, simpler, and so I brought that principle to the UX as well. A lot of open source technology is very developer focused, or assumes that the user, wants to kind of engage and learn. But I kind of stripped out as many features as possible from OTranscribe. At one point, I was thinking, shall I add Markdown? Well, no, actually, your average journalist doesn't know what Markdown is, doesn't want to bother with that. So it's just it's just kind of editable HTML editor in there. So I added this slide just recently, in fact this morning, listening to people's talks, because there's a lot of talk about structured transcriptions, which are incredibly useful for doing fun things. OTranscribe is a quick and dirty tool for getting text out of your audio. It comes out as HTML that you can export to a Google Doc, or to a Markdown file, or to a plain text format. It has those timestamps, but there's nothing forcing the user to add the timestamp in a particular place. Now, I know people are using OTranscribe to transcribe videos and then turning those into subtitle formats later, but OTranscribe doesn't do anything currently that aids in that process. Fun fact about OTranscribe is that it's all client-side, which shouldn't come as a surprise really, because there's no automatic transcription or anything. I'm doing conversion to Markdown and Google Docs. Everything's on the client side, which means that I can host it on GitHub Pages. Thanks, GitHub. It's a lot of traffic, but no one's complained yet. And I have spoken to I spoke to one GitHub employee on a casual basis at a conference, and she said, "Sounds great. Keep doing it." So This does cause problems in that deployments are high risk, and I can't do A/B testing. I can't roll it out to 1% and see if it's stable. You know, all those fun things that modern day deployment systems allow. I imagine someday it may have to move off GitHub pages, either because it becomes too big and GitHub kicks me off, or because GitHub turns evil and doesn't allow us to host stuff for free and use all their bandwidth. Some interesting dependencies in terms of actual transcription stuff. Very little, as I said, it's using HTML5 APIs. I'm using YouTube. There's also support for YouTube videos, so I'm using the YouTube embedded API. I wrote a library called Progressor, which provides the progress bar up top, which is scrubbable. Maybe that's useful for some of your projects, or maybe you can implement that in half an hour. WebL10n I use for multiple language support. That was a JavaScript library that was developed for Firefox OS, since abandoned, of course, but the library is pretty much feature complete and does what I need it to. I use Mousetrap for keyboard shortcuts, very useful. I use JakeCache for offline support. It basically re-implements the app cache, which has been deprecated and replaced with service workers, which are very complicated. JakeCache makes it very easy, and I'm compiling it all with Webpack now. I did a big refactor last year. As you can imagine, my amateurish code 4 years ago can be horrible to deal with, and I think that's actually prevented it's prevented open source contributors. Since I refactored it and published that in January, I've had more pull requests since, which is promising. Some of the open source components, some of the components I extracted into their own libraries. Progressor, for example, OT input, OT player is deprecated. I don't actually use it internally anymore. And OT input is still a bit hairy and has jQuery as a dependency. It would be interesting if we could extract more things from OTranscribe. It's written in a much more modular way now. It's all written ES6, so perhaps there's more to be done there in extracting code for everyone else to use. The biggest kind of open source success of OTranscribe is that the languages are all crowdsourced. I have a help page on the GitHub wiki, and I just have people, either technical people will do a pull request, we fill out a language file. Non-technical people tend to email me, and I'll give them a spreadsheet for them to fill out, and then I copy that into the app. And I don't know, I'm just really happy with that particular bit. So the future, maybe cloud storage. At the moment, OTranscribe relies on local storage, which is great because it means that nothing ever leaves the user's computer. Their audio and video always stays on their computer, as does their transcription, their text, which is particularly important to journalists because they're often working with sensitive information. The downside is that if you clear the browser's cache, or you switch browsers, or something terrible happens, you lose your data. The user loses their data, and I've had many sad emails from people losing their data. So it'd be great to host that stuff on like Google Drive or Dropbox to have that option. And my long-term vision for OTranscribe, honestly, is to just keep it as live for as long as possible. I don't actually have like a huge, deep interest in transcription, which seems like heresy in this room. I built an app that happens to be very useful to people. So you're probably thinking these are very unambitious goals. You know, everyone has such lofty visions for what we can do with structured transcriptions and everything. So, you know, I would love to hear what people would like to do with OTranscribe, how they think it could be extended, whether they would like to lend a hand in maintaining it, but don't feel compelled by any need. I would love to talk to you about OTranscribe. Basically, I'm here until tomorrow lunchtime. So thank you very much for listening. Any questions? Great, covered everything. Thank you.